Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a Liverpool vs Southampton review and a Liverpool vs Crystal Palace preview, a game that is happening this Saturday. Let's get into it. I will first start off with the Liverpool vs Southampton game. The first topic I want to talk about is Alexander Isak getting his first goal for Liverpool. It started off with Federico Chiesa doing some unbelievable work off the ball, pressing high, pressing with intensity. He wins the ball back, intercepts the keeper's pass and squares it to Alexander Isak, who puts a very smart finish into the back of the net. And this is very important for Alexander Isak to get off the mark. He is a striker. This is going to give him a lot of confidence, especially heading into Crystal Palace. However, Liverpool's performance against Southampton was not good enough, and in fact, I thought Southampton were the better team across the 90 minutes. They kept possession better. I saw some really neat passing patterns from them. They created a lot of opportunities, and to be honest, they should have scored more goals themselves. And yeah, I thought Liverpool went up to it, and you can tell that these players haven't played football in quite a long time because they were rusty and they weren't up to speed. But I just want to take this moment to give full credit to Southampton because they hung in there, they played some really nice football and they stuck to their principles. So fair play to Southampton. Southampton did equalise in the game. However, Hugo Ekitike put Liverpool back on top. It starts off with Robertson putting a beautiful chip ball into Federico Chiesa, who brings it down beautifully, and then he unselfishly squares it to Hugo Ekitike, who taps it into an open net. However, the goal wasn't the most talked about point in this game. There was a lot of controversy regarding the fact that Hugo Ekitike got a red card for taking his shirt off. His first yellow card of the game was due to him punching the ball out of play, and then his second yellow card came from him taking his top off. And it was a very silly thing to do, taking your top off after already being on a yellow card. It's not the smartest thing to do, and now it's cost him that starting position in the Crystal Palace game. He has to miss that game, unfortunately. But in my opinion, it's kind of funny as well. From what I've heard, he said to the Southampton coach who used to manage Hugo Ekitike when he was at Reims, he said that if he scores, he'll take his shirt off. And I guess Hugo Ekitike kept to his word. But it was the wrong timing to do this, and it does not help Liverpool at all, especially against Crystal Palace this weekend. Even though the Liverpool performance was poor, there was one man that deserves all the credit. His name is Federico Chiesa. He was outstanding. From the very first minute, this guy was pressing with intensity, with hunger. He was all over the pitch, and both of those goals that Liverpool scored were all because of Federico Chiesa. This was an outstanding performance. I repeat, this was an outstanding performance from Federico Chiesa. And it wasn't only the goals, it wasn't only the work rate. Look at his overall play. He was beating his man with ease. He was creating opportunities. Even in the final minutes, he alleviated the pressure of Liverpool when we were at 10 men. This was a complete performance from Federico Chiesa. And now, he's pushed himself into being in that Liverpool squad. And he's going to be fighting for those starting positions because the Federico Chiesa that I'm seeing right now looks dangerous. However, on to more unfortunate news. Giovanni Leone tore his ACL in the Southampton game, and it was such a shame because he had an absolutely tremendous debut for Liverpool. He looked calm, he looked composed, he was dominant in his duels on the ground and aerially. This kid looked like he could start for Liverpool. That's how good he looked against Southampton, and it's such a shame because at first I thought this guy, he was just going to get limited minutes, sparing minutes, but after I saw his performance against Southampton, he truly looked like a complete centre-back. Genuinely, he's fast, he's strong, he's not afraid to go into challenges, he was really composed on the ball, and he was one of the best performers on that pitch alongside Federico Chiesa. So it's such a shame. At 18, he suffered this ACL injury, but to look on the bright side, he's still young, right? When you're younger, you have a faster metabolic rate, your tissues heal quicker. So I feel like he's going to recover a lot quickly compared to other athletes who suffered from ACL injuries. And science has evolved, right? ACL injuries aren't as bad as they used to be, especially nowadays. You look at Virgil van Dijk, Florian Wirtz, they've returned back to their peak levels after having those ACL injuries. So I'm not worried about Giovanni Leone. He'll be back stronger, but it's very unfortunate that he has suffered this injury on his debut, and I think it means that he's out for the season. So yeah, it's really hard to take because he had such a good performance, man, and it's so unfortunate, but he does have the support around him. He has guys who've experienced the same process, so that's going to make things easier for him. And speedy recoveries for Giovanni Leone. He'll be back stronger and he'll show why he's one of the best young centre-backs in the world. On to the next game now. Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Liverpool's starting lineup. Up top is Alexander Isak. That's easy because Ekitike cannot play against Crystal Palace. On the left, Gakpo. On the right, Mohamed Salah. Playing the number 10 position, Florian Wirtz. My two pivots are Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. Two fullbacks are Kerkez and Bradley. Two centre-backs are Van Dijk and Konate. And my goalkeeper is Alisson. And talking about goalkeepers, Mamashvili was unbelievable against Southampton. Was so commanding in the box. Made some great saves. Just a very, very good goalkeeping performance. But this is the lineup I'm going to play. You could potentially play a McAllister, but McAllister hasn't looked fully fit or healthy this season. So I'll put Szoboszlai, who's been on unbelievable form. Florian Wirtz got dropped last week, came off the bench and didn't play against Southampton. So I'm very well expected him to play in that number 10 role. Right back is a bit of a conundrum between Frimpong and Bradley, but Frimpong did play a large part in the Southampton game, so Bradley will start at right back. And yeah, this is a team, I think it's pretty straightforward and it's a very strong team to face Crystal Palace. On the other hand, Crystal Palace's starting lineup. Right here, I've got two starting lineups in front of me. The manager, Glasner, said that Sarr will be fit. So there's a lineup where Sarr is included and there's a lineup where Sarr isn't included. And for me, if Sarr starts, this game becomes a lot more difficult for Liverpool. You saw last season, the last game, who scored against Liverpool? Sarr with his pace on the counter. Look at the Community Shield at the start of this season. Who won the penalty against Liverpool? Sarr. Who scored the goal against Liverpool? Sarr. Sarr is a problem for Liverpool due to his pace, his directness, and he's a threatening player. So him being healthy against Liverpool will pose a major problem for Liverpool on Saturday. But in terms of the starting lineup, you got Mateta up top, you got Pino or Kamada and Sarr as your two 10s. You got Mitchell, Walton, Hughes and Munoz. And Munoz is going to be an X factor this game because on the counter and in transition, this guy is a force to be reckoned with. And then the three centre-backs are going to be Guéhi, Lacroix and Richards. Just a solid back line, impenetrable. And Dean Henderson in goal. There's a reason why this Crystal Palace team has been unbeaten for 17 games. They're well coached. They got great quality in their squad. They're organised. They're structured. They're hard to break down. And they got very good quality players going forward as well. It is a brilliant team. They've been exceptional so far this season. And they're going to pose Liverpool their biggest, I repeat, their biggest challenge this season. In my opinion, this matchup is going to be about Liverpool's offensive power versus Crystal Palace's resilience and counters. What I mean by this is that Liverpool are going to string together a lot of attacks. They're going to keep a lot of possession. They're going to have control of this game in large parts. But Crystal Palace, they're so resilient. They're so well structured. They don't leave any gaps. They are just a hard team to break down. So it's going to be Liverpool's attack versus Crystal Palace's defense. However, Crystal Palace also have some great midfielders that can control the game. You've watched Liverpool so far this season. The opposition have had joy in possession every single game. And make no mistake about it, a midfield of Hughes and Walton will definitely retain some control for Crystal Palace. And on the counter, in transition, Crystal Palace are going to hurt Liverpool, especially if Ismaila Sarr plays, because he can attack spaces. Munoz can attack in transition. This team will pose a lot of problems for Liverpool, and it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool adapt and respond. And in terms of my final thoughts, I want to say that Liverpool did really well to get that result against Southampton. Liverpool were quite fortunate because I thought Southampton played really well, but they got the job done at the end of the day. And in terms of this weekend against Crystal Palace, it's going to be a tough match. Both teams are unbeaten in the Premier League so far. Crystal Palace have been unbeaten this whole season. In fact, they beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this match unfolds. I think it's going to be a brilliant game. I can't wait for it. Thank you guys for watching. Give me your thoughts about the game. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and peace.